Paper Room. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2023. It's crazy.
This is my Jordan year.
Our Jordan year.
Our
This
Jordan
podcast
year.
is about to go viral because it's our Jordan year. Welcome to the Paper Room 2023. Excited for what God's going to do this year with the Paper Room podcast. Did a lot of really cool stuff in 2022. It was cool going back and kind of seeing what episodes that grabbed your attention, and prayerfully all of them helped you in some sort of way. But welcome back to the Paper Room, joined by Pastor Nick.
It's me.
Isha, Muggy,
It's she.
and if you guys are watching and not listening, we have another special guest, Miss Olivia.
What's up?
Excited.
Do you get that a lot?
are here with
Olivia.
us.
Yes.
Do they? I'm sorry.
The pig?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
That's cool. I didn't even know what that was.
Just the song.
Liv, excited to learn from you today. And we'll kind of get into the topic here in a second. But Olivia is the creative director of Queen's Church. Right? Awesome stuff. If you guys know, don't want to get into it because I've shared a lot. Summer and I were in part of a church plant in New York City. We planted Queen's Church. And then we came back to BT. And now Liv is... You're in charge of the whole thing.
Do you want to come back?
It's kind of what's going on. Wow, that was the ask right now.
Yes.
Wow.
Sorry. Just kidding.
We had to snatch him back.
God is doing really cool stuff at Queen's Church, and I'm glad that you are part of it. But also, you are the manager of client services at Sirius XM Radio.
Killed it.
That sounds
That is amazing.
professional. Like that is like probably the most professional jobs I've ever heard of. And so before we get into today's content, I just want to share really quick how we met because we're close friends. You probably didn't even imagine coming to Texas, especially the
No.
Rio Grande Valley.
Oh my goodness.
What now? 4 times, something like that.
Is it like your second home?
Yeah.
I know. Like more times than I ever would have imagined coming to Texas.
You didn't even know this was down
No.
here.
No.
What is McAllen?
Do you want to move it? Just kidding.
Whoa.
Both
It's like 80 degrees right now.
I know. Oh my gosh. And so, so we met because so it was Super Bowl weekend, right? We were in New York. Man, I don't remember what year it was. Maybe like 2017.
2019.
2019?
Yes.
Okay. The Patriots were in the Super Bowl, which if y'all know me, I love the New England Patriots, right? So when that happens,
No comment.
like no one talked to me. I'm focused on the screen. I'm trying to watch the game. But a friend of mine invited Liv to our Super Bowl hangout party, right? We're at a restaurant bar place and we're watching the game together. And we knew you were coming, right? We heard about you and stuff.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, like cool, yeah. But I was like, this is not the proper context to meet me because
He ignored me the whole time.
that's not true. I said hi, I think.
I think.
But from there, it flourished into a wonderful friendship where you're now Aunt Liv to baby Jaden, right? And so,
that's so sweet
exciting
and
times.
precious.
And now you're doing amazing work at Queen's Church, right?
Crazy. I wasn't even saved yet.
Yeah.
At that point when
Not
I
Wow,
even
you want to
saved.
follow Jesus Christ?
No.
So that encounter could have turned her off from the faith.
But it
'cause you
didn't.
was so no
Beat
judgment.
Jesus in every context
Dan.
during the
Amen.
Super Bowl. But
So
that's
funny.
true. I did not think about that. But that did not happen. And so if you guys are watching video version right now, I am wearing a hoodie of Queen's Church that Liv designed. So
Nice.
grateful for the work that you're doing for Queen's Church and for the kingdom. And so let me ask you this question really quick, I guess, before we get into the content of today's episode. How has Queen's Church impacted you?
Oh my goodness. I was saved, I want to say like mid 2019. So I don't know. I feel like New York City is very secluded. I think a lot of people struggle with like loneliness. And I feel like I'm learning more and more that like Queen's Church is providing that sense of community that I didn't realize. For some people, like Queen's Church is the only family/friends that they have in the city.
Wow.
And it's crazy. So I don't know. It's given me this family that I never thought I would have, especially in Christianity also, because
Right.
I was definitely not a follower, very far removed. But
Crazy. I love
That's
it.
so crazy.
Because you literally, like, you were living in Staten Island, right, when we were friends.
I think so, yeah.
And then you moved to the area,
I moved specifically for Queen's Church.
like, to be a part of Queen's Church. Because it was,
Wow.
without telling you guys,
that
which was really
transportation, I guess,
That's
put
a
us
long
in,
way.
like, how far was that? Like, to go, like, if you wanted to go to Queen's Church, but you're living in Staten Island, what was that transportation like?
I
for you?
was traveling an hour and a half to come to you guys, like, as much as I can. So
That's my motto. A church alive is worth the drive.
There it is.
right, like it was worth it for me to go to travel an hour and a half to
Or
go
worth
to
the
Queens
subway
Church.
ride.
Or worth, yeah.
Subway ride.
But then you moved to the area and now doing huge things there. And so, yeah, really cool stuff. We're not talking about Queen's Church today, even though guys doing really cool stuff there. Go follow at qns.church on Instagram to go keep up with what is happening a part of Queen's Church. But what are we talking about today? Isha, set us up.
This is the first episode of the year, which we might have some new listeners, maybe, hopefully.
Hopefully.
So for anybody that needs a little refresher reminder, this is a podcast for young adults. Help guide, lead them in Christ through the craziness of life. There's just so many things going on in the life of a young adult, just different
Developmental years.
things, different areas where everybody's trying to do their best, trying to live a life that is honoring to God.
Yeah.
And so our goal is to help just offer some sort of wisdom for young adults to accomplish that, to be successful, but not just to be this, I don't know, like well-known whatever for,
and to be faithful.
to
You can be
faithful.
faithful. I mean, Liv is the vice president of, I don't know your title.
Oh wow!
Well,
You
we're
gave
talking
me
about
like
her
multiple
success
promotions.
She is the CEO.
It just keeps getting higher and higher throughout the episode.
But she's walking faithfully with Christ in the
Yeah.
marketplace, and so you don't have to be in vocational ministry
Right.
to be a faithful Christian. You don't have to be locked up in the church all day to live out your faith.
Right.
So this is gonna be great.
Yeah, so this episode is going to be really awesome because it touches on a very practical thing that a lot of young adults, I think, right now are either kind of struggling with or just facing right now. I know a lot of people that I've talked to recently are either going in and out of job interviews or they've been rejected at interviews recently. Or they're just kind of like, where do I interview at that will guide me into my calling or that will actually be purposeful? And so I feel that this episode, which is going to be called How to Kill It in a Job Interview,
How to kill it
is going to be so beneficial because we have Liv here to give us her experience and her expertise. Because she is the president of the United States. It just keeps getting higher and higher. I don't know how much higher you can get. I think I just killed it right now. I just blew the top off.
And part of why I think it's cool to have Liv here on this episode is because the three of us are in ministry, right?
Yes.
So we can give our thoughts and prayers, right?
Right.
But like we also want to help young adults, like how do you be like faithful, successful, all stuff in the workplace? But we work at a church, and the majority of you, I mean, some of y'all might be called to ministry, which will be a beautiful thing, and we want to help you, guide you in that. But so many of y'all are like, you're going to end up living out your faith in the workplace. How do you faithfully do that? And so we can give some advice, but excited for Liv because she's in that field right now, in that world. Maybe one day you'll be full-time ministry. Who knows? But
That'd
for
be
now,
amazing.
this is what you're doing, and so excited to hear some wisdom from you. So it's
Yeah, and
gonna be good.
I think also this topic, it's really awesome that it could hit on any age too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if we do have people that are like, well, I'm 35, I'm gonna end up interviewing again, somewhere else. It's a good refresher. It's a good reminder, especially because our world is changing.
Yeah.
People are changing. Workplaces are changing. Rules are changing. So I just think that, a main question is like, okay, so what are some like very practical things I can wear, say, do, look out for, just everything. So, but before we get into all of that, just like advice on the actual interview process. Liv, what does your job look like? What does your journey through interviewing, what does that experience look like for you, or what has it looked like?
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I am at Sirius XM in Pandora. I've been in the advertising industry for about 5 years now, but I've been in the corporate world for about 10 years now.
Wow.
So this is probably my second job, like full-time job out of college, but I've done a crazy amount of internships. So that comes with a lot of interviews. Applied to so many jobs.
How many jobs have you applied for down through the years?
I was a little bit aggressive pre-Christianity.
Okay.
You can still be aggressive post-Christianity.
I mean, I was like climbing the ladder.
Yeah,
Like that
I
was
got
the
you.
plan.
Yeah.
Now it looks a lot different in my life, but I was looking. I used to keep track of it. There was like a giant.
What did you
Excel
lose
sheet.
track?
I don't. I mean, I haven't interviewed in 3 years.
Okay, praise the Lord.
So in 2018, I applied to 218 positions. I
In
was just,
1
this was
year?
right out of college. I was just like, I need a job.
Wow.
I think I heard back from like 30, whether it was a not getting an interview or I think there was about like 12 or 13 companies that wanted to interview. So I did.
218 companies.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
I think that is a lot.
It is.
But I also think that there's something to that.
Yeah.
Because God uses your personality. Just that lack of passivity is something that I think young adults could embrace. I know you said pre-Christianity your motive may have been different,
For sure.
but just that lack of passivity is something that I think is important.
I agree.
If you want to kill it on a job interview,
Yeah.
well, you're gonna have to apply.
Right.
That's so true.
Recently, I've been reading the Draw the Circle, Mark Batterson's prayer book, and one of the chapters on there is quit praying. Right. And the way you said like that passivity kind of brought this to mind. Obviously when I read the chapter, like you're thinking like he's not telling you to like never pray again.
Right.
But what can happen is you have this moment where you're just constantly praying, expecting God to show up, but then you don't do anything. Like there's no action on your part.
Right.
And so I love, you might have gone overboard, but that's okay.
I don't think that was okay.
But 218, and knowing your personality too, like you said it also that you have it all.
It's listed every position, what the link was, what date I applied. So it was like 20 to 30 a day. It was just, if not more, but it was It was fun. And then I got a job. So that's all
There
that
you go.
matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get the kind of percentage. So 30 people came or responded to you out of 218. So
Some people
so
just
if
don't
you
respond.
guys are like applying to like 2 jobs, like, and then you're like, man, I didn't even get
That ain't gonna cut it.
I didn't even get an
No, I'm
email, right? And so like, yeah, y'all gotta build that up.
And those places that I even interviewed at didn't necessarily offer me a job either.
Yeah.
So, but to your point, you're also like getting practice with
Yes.
interviewing,
Yeah.
which is super helpful. Like I'm currently not looking for a job, but I still think about like I can just interview just to practice for when the day does come. But yeah, I think I got 2 offers at the end of all that. I like my options.
Wow.
Nice.
2 offers is a lot for me.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that is, I agree with what Nick said too. Because I mean, cultures are different, right? And personalities are different. So some people like me are shy and it takes a lot to put
Yeah.
myself out there, especially
Yeah.
with strangers. I had it pretty easy if I can talk about my
Yeah.
non-existent experience of interviews. The person I did interview with, and I quote unquote that because it was very informal, was with Colin. And I knew him already. So it felt very like, and I also knew like, okay, this position's yours. Let's just do like, an informal kind of like, let me ask you some questions basically is what it felt like. And so that was pretty easy for me. I'm
So
still a little
basically you-
nervous.
And
but
You
that's
wing
your
that
job
interview.
experience. Your job interview
that
experience.
is my job interview
So you
experience.
ain't care about that interview with Colin, is what you're
So
saying.
you've never had
No,
any
you
other
ain't
job
said
interviews?
that.
You never had any other job interviews?
No.
That's crazy.
All right,
Yeah.
praise the Lord.
Love
So
it. Gosh,
I can attest to, I can't imagine the kind of like nervousness and nerve wrackingness.
And I want to get into that a little bit
because
because it's so weird. Even if you know the people like that you're interviewing with, or or even just like in regular interviews or regular like meetings that you have, it's so weird that a lot of times when you go into a meeting, go into an interview, like your brain just forgets how to work and you just forget everything. And they're like, hey, like, what are your passions? You're like, I don't even know what I'm passionate about. Like you just,
Nada.
like that, those nerves like just kind of kick in and then you just start forgetting stuff. Cause I haven't done a whole lot of interviews. My work experience has been like restaurants and things like that before getting into ministry. But so I remember when I interviewed for BT for the first time. This was, I think, in 2014. I was working as a student pastor at Awadusa Baptist Church, a small church. Context, there's, probably a couple of hundred people in the town, about 100 people in the church. We had a good sized youth group for the church, like 30, 40 students. And that was my ministry experience, right? So then coming to the context of BT, large church context, several hundred people within the church. It's about this, BT, the size of the church is bigger than the size of the town of Valdosta. And so I knew coming into this that I got the interview because I knew somebody in the church, right? So I was not qualified. I had no Bible degree yet. I was pursuing one, but I didn't have one. I've never ran a large student ministry. And so, so when I came in and Nick was a part of that interview, I remember that. I think that's when I first met you.
Yep.
I remember like just hearing these questions and having no idea how to respond. And part of it was because I went blank, but part of it too is because like, I don't know how to do that because I've never had to do it.
Yeah.
But like, so maybe if you remember.
I remember. I met you in the atrium.
Yeah, what was your response? Because you led that interview.
Yeah, I met you in the atrium and was just, trying to fill you out, build rapport. And your interview was regular. It was, like regular. I told you, you didn't blow me away and you didn't blow it.
Nice. So, is it a good thing?
Balance.
So balance. Everything was balanced. But one of the things that I did walk away from your interview saying, man, this is a young guy that really, he's raw, but he gonna fly. I did know that, and so we were interviewing another guy. And, in our conversations about it, we was just let's get both of them.
That's right. Yeah. Praise God, BT did that because they wouldn't have got me as
let's just get both of them.
Yeah.
See what happens. We don't know what God is doing. And so we got both of you. I remember
driving, we're living in Alice, with context in McAllen, about an hour and a half north of here. As soon as I left the church, I called Summer. I was like, we're not going anywhere.
We ain't coming. You ain't like Dion. We ain't coming.
We're not coming. But, praise God, got moved.
Yes.
And it's been a huge blessing for me, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was, it ended up being a good interview experience because you ended up getting the position.
It don't mean he gave a good interview.
That's 100%.
Right. No, so I want to hear, like, what is the worst interview experience that you guys have had?
I mean, to me, that was it. Like, well, because I hadn't had a whole lot of experience, but it was like, like I felt lack of confidence. I felt, it was just a whole weird feeling for me emotionally. But
I feel like what you were saying, he was raw. I don't know how you would define that, but my thing is being genuine. So if like you are yourself, I feel like when I interview people, I can cut through. You're not being genuine. There's something going on here. You're kind of just like schmoozing me. That automatically turns me off. And that's my red flag where I'm like, probably not. You're probably not getting it. But like, it's really being genuine. And I hate saying this, like, don't be fake. Like, people can see right through that. So that's probably why you got your you're regular.
I'm regular.
I haven't had that many interviews.
Be regular.
I always feel confident at my interviews. I feel very rejected when everything I've interviewed for, I haven't gotten it. I've been in Liv's seat as well with conducting interviews, and
have you had a bad experience with that? Like somebody interviewing for something and it was like
when people are just so nervous that that it's just like from us sitting across from each other, you can't handle the stress of this conversation.
Right.
I know you ain't gonna handle the stress of this job.
Yeah.
And so it's just really sad because you got to go through the interview and you see them sweating, but it's almost like you just want to be like, all right, well, but you can't do that because I've been in rooms where people are so nervous.
All right, let me ask this then. How do we help with that? Like what are maybe some of y'all's advice on calming nerves?
Liv got the experience.
On just, I don't know if it's being prepared better or what that looks like, but just to like go. How do we go into an interview with confidence?
I think it also depends on the person. I was going to say be normal,
which regular.
Is literally be normal. You're a normal human being. It's fine. But at Sirius XM and Pandora, it took me about a year of interviewing for this second job. And I feel like I went in being super prepared, like in my head. I know what I'm going to say. I want this job. I interviewed in so many places. And then by the time I got to Sirius XM and Pandora, I think I was a little burnt out by being rejected. And I'm like, you know what? I'm in my black jeans. I forgot. I think I had like a white blazer on. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. We're just going to do this. And I was normal. And I honestly think that's how I got the job. It was just like, stop trying so hard to like please someone.
Ooh, that's good.
And I didn't think I got it, as opposed to all the other ones where I was like, I got it because I prepared so hard and I did so well. At Pandora, I was just like, whatever. It is what it is. So like, I think it kind of easing your nerve in that way, being like, it's okay. Whatever happens will happen. And I will say, like, God really does move. And I think I was placed at Sirius XM and Pandora for a reason.
I believe it.
And that is why I didn't get all of those other jobs that I wanted so badly.
Wow.
So
That's a good word. That's a good word right there, because, you know, young adults as followers of Jesus Christ, he leads and guides, you know.
Right.
He will lead you. So that's a good word.
Yeah.
Another thing I will say is, you know, kind of my 3 C's. The first one is confidence. If you are called in for an interview, they saw something in your resume that wanted them to see more of you.
And here in a second, we're going to talk about what resumes are, because I'm assuming there's young adults who have no idea what that is.
So. So
we'll
you
hash
know,
that out in a second.
so you are in that room because they want you to be in that room.
Yeah, there was a process to get
in the
you
room.
in the room.
Yeah.
So.
And so confidence, but be so confident that you don't have to talk about yourself so much. And they're going to ask you about yourself, but here's what I mean. You know, most of the times people are in their head because they are solely focused on themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Versus being confident that, you know, God can use you to help that company or in that job. And so be confident. Another thing that helps with confidence is, I think, you know, and Liv had a lot of practice because she went on 30 interviews.
Crazy.
You know, but you might have to do a mock interview. You might have to, so that you can process and figure out what you'll say and how you'll say it. And, you know, get somebody to sit across from you and potentially ask the questions that they might ask. I don't know.
Yeah.
For sure.
But another thing I would say is, what helps me with my nerves is command. That I have command of the industry, or, you know, I'm a preacher, so sometimes when I go preach at places I've never preached before, to me that's like kind of an interview type setting. To get good command, you got to know your audience.
Yeah.
Know the person you talking.
Yeah.
Research them.
Right.
Or research the company. Get command of what you're going to be asked to do. Get command from reading the job description. And I don't care if it's at Chick-fil-A or, you know, but get command. Because then with that confidence and that command, you can walk in some level of comfort as you're sitting there and they're asking you these questions.
And you're at peace. You're not sitting there like tense.
No,
either,
yeah.
Which goes into, you know, feeling a sense of relaxation without it being, I don't care, or I'm careless,
Right.
or, you know, like whatever. If I don't get it, it's whatever. Like there's a balance between that, you know.
And that's going to be my last C, common sense.
I've heard like 5 C's, bro.
It was a 5. We on 5. I'm a Baptist preacher, so the C's get rolling. See yourself.
In a job interview.
But Liv, like she said, she went in normal, and, you know, I'm sure you weren't irreverent.
No, but you were saying, like, know the job you're interviewing for.
Yeah.
That's a huge red flag. When I'm interviewing someone, I was just like, do you know what you applied for? Like, did you read up on our company or this position? For some reason, I feel like that needs to be said, where I'm like, know the job you're applying for, like, so that you can speak to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if they ask you, you know, like, how would you be a good fit? Then it's like, oh, I don't know. You know,
Right.
because you didn't know.
Yeah.
And I
you
think
don't
another
know.
reason why all of this is really good, one, maybe you're a young adult trying to get a job, but at some point too, like you young adults are, you know, like your story, 10 years down the road, you're going to be the one conducting interviews. So hopefully this will also help in that area for you as you kind of grow in your industry. Just a simple question. What are some potential questions that people could be asked in an interview?
My favorite question to ask is, how do you like to be managed? So I want to see what the relationship is going to be like with the person I'm interviewing. Like, if you like someone who is super hands-on, who wants to like lead you through everything, that's not me. And I know that, and I think that's a weird fit. So that's my favorite question to ask.
How do you like to be managed? Got it. Okay.
Wow.
That's a good question.
I mean, I think we're gonna get the kind of like what are your strengths and weaknesses, which is
sure.
always kind of awkward. Like, oh yeah, my weaknesses. Like, you never want to say what your weaknesses are.
Right.
Because then you're like, if I say something, I ain't gonna get the job.
Right.
My weaknesses are all my strengths.
Right.
I work too hard. That's my weakness. And so, and then in your experience, so how you like to be managed.
Run me through your resume.
Right.
Tell me what you've been doing.
Well, let me ask this question first. How long does the interview normally take?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Within that 30-minute time frame, when do you know if this person is going to get the job or
Oh my
not?
goodness.
I want to freak people out right now. That's why.
Well, no. I
2
think
minutes.
a more experienced interviewer wouldn't write someone off right away.
Sure.
You shouldn't do that
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
good.
very easy for me to be like 5 minutes in, I don't like your vibe, like we're done.
Right.
But I think,
We're done here.
I mean, yes, but I feel like you should keep probing. But I don't know. Some people kind of just know right away if like you're the right fit, depending on your resume, depending on like your first couple of questions.
And another question, I thought of this question right now too. I'm just curious as from the interviewer perspective. Let's say you're hiring a position. About how many people will you try to interview to get that position?
Ooh. So I don't like when we continue to see if there's someone better.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if you find someone, you're offering them.
Oh wow, okay.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, there are times where it's just like the interview's already scheduled after
Oh.
someone already got the job. But yeah.
What do you do in that scenario? You like cancel the interview, or you interview?
We try not to.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking up someone's time, especially like if it's like a couple of hours after, because we tend to like do our interviews all within like a week. So
Okay.
That's a question that one of my friends asked me is like they wanted to apply for something and they were like, but I know the company and I know the people. What if they already have somebody in mind and they just want to do like
Diligence.
open interviews?
You still go on that interview.
Yeah.
you don't know who you're gonna meet too.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
that and the whole back to the practice thing. Like,
Yeah.
like go get that practice in. You
Yep.
may not
Yeah.
get that job, but that's gonna help you with the mock interview. Like
Yep.
even if you know you're not gonna get it,
Yeah.
it'll give you a little confidence for the next one type of thing.
Danny
So-
did it.
But
No,
also,
You were right.
that's so funny. But I've also passed candidates off to another team.
see, look at that.
Yeah.
That's
So
why
I'm
you
like,
go.
oh, we might not be a good fit. You might not be a good fit for my team, but like, here's someone else. Why don't you? And then I would
Yeah.
connect them
good.
that way.
Yeah.
All right. Super practical. We've thrown out this word a lot. Want to hash it out, what it means and how to use it, how to put it together. But just in case there's a young adult listening and don't know what it is, what is a
Me?
resume?
Just kidding.
Oh.
How do you put it together? What needs to go on a resume? Because sometimes that can get awkward too. Because in a resume, you're talking about yourself.
Right.
So it's like, how do you be humble but also brag? To where like
How can I humbly brag?
I'm
humble
I'm
brag.
kind of a big deal. Here's my resume, right? So what does that even look like? What needs to go on there practically?
Do you have a
Don't lie.
resume, Isha?
On your resume.
No.
She's set.
I
life.
don't have a resume. Okay.
Don't be ashamed.
So
Don't
I'm
be ashamed.
sitting
Oh,
here
and then with
learning.
that, like how long do you upkeep it? All that stuff. Yeah. So back to the beginning. What is a resume?
Resume is a summary, usually one sheet, of your experience, your education, any skills you might have. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on it. Your name. But it's pretty much just like a summary of what you've done. Humble brag.
question.
I think that takes time. What?
So I have a question. In the skills portion,
Yes.
I feel so silly.
No, you're good.
No.
I'm thinking of other people too. Okay, not just myself asking. I'm asking for a friend.
Ah.
So sweet.
So in the skills, what kind of skills would you describe? Like, I'm sure you wouldn't put like sewing and like I
Heck
can
no,
be
it's
fast.
like, no.
You
I was the
know,
might
fastest
put a-
typer in my class.
You know what I would
True.
do? And this is just
depending
me.
on the job too. I think.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
You're right. So I've seen actors put stuff like that where it's just like sewing or some kind of hobby. But yeah, it depends on where you're going. But I have, I think, language and technical skills. So Microsoft Word,
Yeah.
or I'm kind of bilingual. I can't really say I'm bilingual anymore. I should remove that.
What other language do you speak?
Chinese, kind of.
Oh, cool.
Maybe.
Can you say something?
No.
I'm just
Oh
kidding.
my god.
I tried.
He trying to help us get on that BIPOC.
Right. Oh, yeah, there you
You
go.
know, it was strategic.
And now, obviously,
But I would say, look
go
for
it.
when you pick skills, right? Don't just pick a random skill that you have disconnected from
Yes.
the job you're applying for. So you might have to tweak your
Oh, yes.
resume with action words that better fit the job you're applying for.
That's a good
It
point.
takes a little, it takes a
Instead of
little
copy paste onto every.
Yeah, it take a little time. Your like Liv said, it could be a summary, but look at that job description, and it might be the same word that you use a million times that does not fit this job description that you're applying for. So it's still your same skill, but swap a word out.
An insider kind of thing. A lot of HR companies will use like softwares to divvy up the resumes, so they
Right.
look for specific words. So what you're saying, like look at the job description that you're applying for and input those words, because it's very likely that they're
That's
filtering
cool.
out resumes
Yeah.
without them looking at it.
See that?
A system looks at it.
Wow.
AI
AI.
taking over the world before you even get an interview.
And don't use your Lensa picture on you or whatever that.
Your what?
What is that app where everybody
Right,
looking
the
like
AI
a
picture.
Oh,
AI
okay.
picture?
Oh.
Yeah,
I have
use a
not-
real picture.
Conformed yet.
I ain't doing that.
So.
You have to pay for that now.
Oh, you do?
I think
will never
so.
conform
It's
that.
like
if I have to pay-
$11.
Oh gosh, no, that's not
To
worth
get
it.
all those generated?
Some of y'all don't even have a job when you're buying the Lensa ticket. You're paying for Lensa
You
tickets.
looking like a
That's so funny.
anime character and don't have a job.
Oh my gosh.
So now, obviously, with you talked about HR, they have these programs. Everything's a whole digital, technological world. Talk to us about LinkedIn, which I know that it's a very high, powerful social media tool.
Like, do I have to have one?
Are you looking for a job?
No.
It's for professionals to connect with other professionals.
Okay, no.
It's my favorite social networking site. Don't come at me. I'm on it more than probably other apps.
Wow.
Because I'm just always scrolling on it.
At TikTok.
But what?
At TikTok. It's messed up.
It's fine.
So
So it's a
never
digital
been on the
resume.
app. So are
Do you know what LinkedIn is?
I know what it is,
Okay,
but I think I've been on it like once, so I don't really remember.
It's like a social networking site for professionals.
Okay.
But you have your digital resume on there. So I've been obviously in the workspace for a while now. So a lot of recruiters contact me from there. So I technically don't even need to apply for a job anymore because they could just look me up on LinkedIn and
Right,
see what my qualifications are. I love it.
President of the United.
I'm president, I'm CEO.
That's so funny.
So then, obviously, your recommendation is that if you're a professional in the workplace, you have to have a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, you should. And I update it pretty frequently. So back to the original question where like how often do you update your resume? I update it pretty much every year.
Okay.
And I've sent like you snaps or you and Summer and you guys are like, "Are you interviewing?" I'm like, "No, I'm just updating my resume. I like to keep it up to date
Always ready.
Wow.
just in case someone comes and it's just like, "Hey,
You
would
stay
like to
ready,
work
you ain't
here?"
got to get ready.
That's right. Yeah.
There you go.
Is it also a place where, because you said it's like a professional, social media site where people can see what's going on, but if somebody is I guess hiring, so if you're like you're a manager or something, you want to be on LinkedIn too, so that you can go see people's profiles or whatever.
For
right?
sure. Yeah. I think there's like a premium for a lot of recruiters use that.
Oh, got it. Okay. Crazy.
I have a
Use it.
question.
I love LinkedIn.
So we're talking about like resumes and all that, right? Practical stuff. What about the outward appearance that goes into an interview? So can we talk about what to wear, what's a
Yes.
little too much? Because right now, if you're watching on
What's
YouTube,
not enough?
you might notice that
You're not
I
overdressed.
stand out a
You're
little
not.
bit.
So
I would hire you.
Here's what happened. In preparation for this episode, we knew we were talking about how to kill a job interview. On Slack, I joked and I said, "Hey, attire a suit and tie for tomorrow's episode." And Isha didn't read the LOL JK.
10 minutes later, I was like, okay, bet.
So she
Let me
came
see what I have in my closet.
dressed professionally
So cute.
while we are casually.
She is ready to kill it.
And
What
then
do
I
you
show
wear for an
up,
interview?
and
Yeah.
everyone's in ripped jeans, and literally almost everyone's in Converse.
Well, I got
Or
a
some
job. I ain't
kinda-
trying to interview
some
you.
kind
Some
of
kind of
Converse
high
version.
tops.
You should dress for the
But-
part.
Dress for the part.
Great. dress for the part.
So if you're applying at Chick-fil-A, you wear like a red.
No.
I'm just kidding.
You just go get the uniform.
I always say it's better to be overdressed. Would you agree?
Okay.
I agree. I agree with Liv. She done been on 37 interviews. But I also would say you need to look like you're somebody that they can take seriously.
Yeah.
And you're taking this experience seriously.
Right. Yes.
So wear something to communicate that.
Yeah.
I have a question also in line of all this. So you're like in this, like are you a millennial?
Yes.
You are, right? So you're like in this millennial, but all these Gen Zs are coming and applying for jobs. The whole Gen Z, mindset is authenticity, like be real, don't be fake, whatever. Do you see it becoming more casual? Because I think back in the day, if you have an interview, you're wearing a suit, no matter where you worked at, right? But as it continues to be more casual, where is that? I guess you always want to be a little bit ahead, but I just feel like Gen Zs are like, come as you are. Like, I don't.
Well, it's also tough because the last time I interviewed, we were still in person for everything.
Oh, true, yeah.
So all my interviews are over Zoom now. I don't know what you're wearing. Like, if you're wearing sweatpants, like, whatever. But I also work in tech, so it's a little bit more lax where I am. So if I hop on a Zoom interview and you're in a suit, I'm like, that's cute, but you didn't need to do that. But you should still look nice. I don't think you should show up in, I don't know, a regular graphic tee.
But like a black
jeans.
tee. Black tees look nice on some people, yeah.
Something clean, you just look appropriate.
Clean.
Right.
That's
You look
a key
put
word,
together.
Right.
Don't look like you rolled out of bed and showing up in Crocs and all of that.
And Crocs.
In a Zoom interview, is it okay if they use a background, like one of those
yeah, I don't care. I'm not
template backgrounds?
I'm not overthinking it.
Like they're in Hawaii or something, or
that's
cool?
Tacky to me.
That's a conversation starter.
I would not do that.
That's tacky to me.
In space.
No.
So then, I think it does depend on the job
Yes.
For sure.
that you're applying for. Because, Danny, what would you say if I wanted to apply for online communications pastor? And that means I'm going to be in front of a camera. That means whatever, that people are going to be seeing me often, and I'm going to be communicating with a lot of people. But I show up
in slacks.
I don't know.
And that's kind of why I asked that question though, is because I feel like I'm in the middle of that. Like I want someone to be a little bit more authentic in who they are. And obviously it goes back to what you're applying for. If you're applying to a coffee shop, you're gonna wear a vintage tee, right?
Right.
And so. Because in front of the camera, I look like what I'm wearing right now, right? I'm in a hoodie and a beanie pretty often, and but there's moments to dress for the part.
There's certain
because that kind of
industries
tells me who you are a little bit, all that stuff. Do you judge people by their social medias? Sorry, I just had that question right now.
I'm stalking them on social media when I interview them?
Well, I guess that's what LinkedIn is, right?
Sure.
Okay.
But their LinkedIn is also their resume.
Okay.
So.
But
just seeing
if
their
you
life.
saw somebody with a Twitter page full of twerk videos.
Yes.
And they coming to the interview.
I have not stalked someone that extensively. I don't want to.
Okay, well, I ain't saying stalk nobody.
I don't want to get too far into this, but there was a regular at Kinship Coffee, the coffee shop I worked at in New York. Do you know Shane Gillis?
No.
That name ring a bell?
No.
He's a regular there. So Shane is a comedian. Okay. And he would come to the shop every day. He ordered the tall cold brew. Cool dude, kind of quiet guy. But anyway, so he in his comedy world, he got his dream job. Right. He worked for SNL. Got the job. Right. And then he told them hey, I got some stuff, on Twitter, on podcasts that I've said. SNL tells him, you're good. It's fine. He gets a job. His name gets blown up. People search him out.
Oh, no.
And later that day, homie got canceled, right?
Okay.
And so, but like you said, sometimes maybe that might help to look at people's
This is what an old dude told me one time.
recent stuff.
Old wisdom. He said, you don't know where you'll be tomorrow, so behave yourself today. I think we need to apply that across all of our mediums where we are represented. Social media, in person, of course, LinkedIn now, and everything like that. I realize that.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's it's unfortunate because you do there are things that I want to say in the moment and I got my friends on social media, you know, and I'm like, you know what? That's probably just for the group chat. You know, that's why I said common sense is very important in this day and time.
Yeah.
For interviews, people that are looking for people to work in their organization, potential employees, they're not going to stalk you like Liv don't do, but people will look at your social medias. They will peruse.
Yeah. I think so.
Keep it clean.
All right, let's kind of end with this. Just some last minute advice. Someone's jumping into an interview, looking for a job. You know, what's a bit of advice that you would give somebody?
I don't know.
Besides be confident.
Be confident.
And
Last
just for
minute
anybody.
advice. Well, I would say getting in the door is your first step, and I think that's really hard. One of my advice would be if you're not practicing job interviews, what I did was I did informational interviews, so I could hit up Pastor Nick and be like, hey, can I just ask you about your career path?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And my thing is, I was very surprised on how willing senior executives would be willing to talk to me.
Wow.
Like, they'd be like, yeah, I'll sit down for an informational interview. It was not me trying to get a job out of them. It was fully me trying to learn their career path.
What did you do? Just email them or something? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or reach out to them on LinkedIn.
Oh.
Wow.
So
just like out of the blue, cold.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, this is me. I think I said, I was like, I'm graduating. I want to learn more about this industry. Would you be willing? I'll buy you coffee. Like, let's just sit down and just chat.
Wow.
And I've made so many connections that way. There's still a couple of them that I still talk to, and I met them right out of college. And they're like top, which makes it's very intimidating for me, but it's also like nice to have that connection.
Yeah.
And they
That's
can
awesome.
refer you and
That is
help you
super
get
cool.
an interview to start, because that's the toughest part, getting the interview.
Getting in the room where it happens.
The toughest part is getting the interview. So, man, so much work
Start
is done.
applying.
200. So 2023, you all have a goal. Apply to 250.
Well,
Places.
one of my goals is probably to make a resume.
There you go.
I need
That's-
to do that.
And a
That's good.
shameless plug, one of the things that we're doing for our young adults here at BT, we're starting a professional development cohort.
Yeah.
That if you are a regular listener of the Paper Room and a regular attender on our Tuesday night sessions, you'll be hearing more about this professional development cohort. But yeah, it's going to be beautiful. It is going to be lovely and full of practical wisdom and prayerfully some practical resources to equip you.
Yeah, our hope is to bring some people in, just members of the church, people who love Jesus and want to just share their wisdom, who are in the workplace, and they're going to come and just do some professionalism stuff for us. And so it's going to be good. Like I said, we can only give so much. We're in the ministry. So if you have ministry questions, we're here all day.
Yep.
But our hope is to partner with other people that love BT and love you
And
to
love
be able
Jesus.
to share.
They
this.
love Jesus
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And they
We didn't even get into that. Living for Jesus in New York City.
That is rough.
Part 2.
Part 2, always. We'll bring you back.
Funny.
But awesome. Good stuff.
Should we plug Liv's like social media handles
Let's
and
plug her
stuff
LinkedIn.
like that? Oh, okay.
kidding.
You know,
Get
like
at
if
me.
people
I was
have
like,
more questions,
I'm a little private on
'cause,
social media.
I mean, like, or
Oh, yeah. Yeah, is it cool if someone reached out to you to ask questions?
Oh, for sure.
Cool.
I would love that.
What's your handle? At what? Do you know
Olivia
it?
Thai, I think?
Can you spell it for us?
No.
Okay. We'll drop it. We'll drop it on social media.
or DM
and,
BT Young Adults.
Oh,
and we'll get
Yeah,
you
we'll
connected.
connect you.
Olivia, Thai.
THAI.
We'll connect you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you
It
for
was so
having
good.
me.
Like, share, subscribe.
Amen.
Subscribe.
We're praying that you guys have an amazing 2023. We're kicking off this year with this topic and hope that if you don't have a job, you find a job.
Amen.
But also know that we're here for you to chat, to hang out, to help you process your calling and career. We want to help you faithfully follow Jesus and want to help you, just in life in general. And so thank you for joining us for the first episode 2023 of the Paper Room Podcast. Love you guys. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.